Welcome to our third video on these lectures on the Qhenomenology reasoning systems and Whenomenology reasoning systems. You can see the whenness of the conditions from 1500 AD to 2022 in Google Ngram. We are talking about the three terms THE, the, A and of. These are very fundamental terms in English vocabulary. We can see here that the is the concept, a is a concept, of is a concept. These three are the concepts, and the is the concept of definiteness for any noun, a is the concept of indefiniteness of noun, and of is the concept which relates two things, two or more things. During the time of our cognitive upliftment from 1500 to 1600, we can see a brisk movement of the, a and of altogether. And from 1500 to 1800, we see the concept of definiteness, the, was increasing with the increasing trend, and the concept of was also increasing in the increasing trend, and these were having a moderate increase in the term A. But after the condition where the definiteness was reducing from 1850 onwards, that is after industrial revolution was getting a certain kind of maturity, after Gauss-Riemann's works on the curved spaces, and after the point where we can see that quaternions are coming, where we can see Marx is coming, industrial revolution was getting dicey, things are not getting definite, and at that time the cultural movements were moving towards the indefiniteness more, and so there was a decline in the use of the words the. And from the advent of the abstraction started during 1830 onwards, we are seeing that the definiteness of the was reducing, the definiteness of was reducing, and this signals the nature of the culture, the cognitive scenario of the culture altogether. And again we can see that after 1970, when computers and stabilization of the world was coming and industrial movements are moving towards the new kind of industry where computers, networking, telephones are all coming up with the bigger prospects, the direct relations of the prospects in the whole cultural ground and the definiteness and the connections between two different things work hands to hand together. The increase of the use of the term the and the decrease of the term of is signifying a certain kind of interesting behavior after 1970. This kind of whenness are discussed in the Whenomenology, but Qhenomenology discuss about the structures of concept construction, and Whenomenology discuss about the conditions of concept consumptions. There are two different ways to do the reasoning here. One is the Qhenomenology, where we discuss which concept comes before other concept and how many concepts are actually dependent on certain concept. To understand these kind of things, Sanjoy Nath has done extensive research on the crisp dictionaries, Webster Dictionary, Cambridge Dictionary, Oxford Dictionary, and WordNet Dictionary. All of these dictionaries are clubbed together first. Then the frequency distribution of every of the words are collected from this total set of the words. We all know that dictionaries are not literatures. Dictionaries are crisp objects where only the Two columns are there. Column number 1 has the unique list of the words, and column number 2 has the description and the meaning of the words. We can consider these as the C++ class names or Java class names in the column 1, and that is following the closure principle. And obviously, the right hand side, the second column of the dictionary, is the description or the meaning of these unique class names, which means the instantiating of these classes with the constructors. And if we consider that every class has a constructor and all the classes are the concrete classes, if we assume in that way, and we are instantiating these variables there, from that we have done an analysis here, and with this analysis we see certain kind of properties. We can see certain kind of properties here. These properties are like this. We should describe how Sanjoy Nath has done this research over 145602 number of WordNet classes only. In this file you are seeing only the cases of the WordNet classes. In the WordNet classes, the words are taken under the namespace PQSQED. I will discuss later why it is PQSQED. There is a GitHub repository from Sanjoy Nath. If you search in Google Sanjoy Nath, you will get the GitHub repository PQSQED. All the open source codes are there, the Python codes are there, several C# codes are there, the compilation scripts are also there in the backed files, such that you can prepare your exe files from that. You can run that on the dictionary, and this dictionary, that PQSQED namespace with all the C# files are also present in that repository. From there you can run your exe file to generate these kind of reports. These reports are generated with the assumption that this dictionary is nothing but a C# class structure. The C# class structure has all the classes in the separate C# files, and where the unique class names present in the column number 1 of the dictionary are initialized, are written in the separate class files, in the separate CS files, and then in the constructor we have instantiated the unique words, that is the unique concepts used to define that class, such that when the compilation is done, the compilation tree is constructed. This compilation tree is the dependency tree. Obviously, since it is not a actual project of programming systems, so there are the circular references. We know that in human language these kind of problems are always there. So Sanjoy Nath has considered that every of this description, after a certain kind of tree depth, the circular reference starts. The moment the circular reference starts, Sanjoy Nath stops the counting and adds the depth of the tree, and these depths are stored here in this report. From the dictionary words, for every kind of word, these are class names. Directly they are dependent on 14 words, that is the 14 classes are involved directly to write the meaning of this oriental black mushroom kind of the class. Now oriental is another word, that is another class. Black is another class. Mushroom is also another class. These three also have this kind of tree depths, and all these tree depths are summed together, and then we have found this frequency data, that is 185712. And in this way we got the idea that we can rank the dependency chains of these direct dependency of the classes on some certain classes, and indirect dependencies, the tree depths, all of these things are there. And with this report, Sanjoy Nath is now trying to develop a combined reports with this frequency report also, and in this way it can become a deeper tree depth kind of concept, where Sanjoy Nath can symbolize every concept in the dictionary as a number line, like the Dedekind number line, and on that number line every concept can have a unique positions like the points on the number line. In that way our reasoning system can become like a calculus. Our reasoning system can behave like a real numbers, and that is the fundamental motive to design the reasoning systems in this way. Now here you can see that we will talk about some small things here. Suppose if we search here, Control F, PQSQED, PQSQED dot THE, then we will get the data here. Extended or wraparound, match hold plus find, current find PQSQED THE. Obviously the will be found, and in this way we can think about this kind of options are there after the, and so we should find this there. The is not there here in this dictionary. Of is there, or we can get every words here. We have to find, and we will use the SQL server to find these kind of calculations. These special kind of things were not in WordNet, so we are not getting these things. If we club all the dictionaries together, then we will get everything here. And if we consider, suppose we can talk about some small things, that is the PQSQED. Suppose if we talk about the PQSQED dot moral, then we should get that, and we will get that at the rank of 136105, which has 456 total branches on which this moral is depending. This 456 total branches are below this moral word, and directly 5 classes are used to define this moral. One more interesting thing you can see here, that moral and story are almost near around. Moral has 456 tree depth and story has 455 tree depth. Moral has the total depth of all the branches as 45778. Moral has 55623 total branch depth for all its 5 dependency chains directly, and story has 45778 total branch depth, which is depending on the 15 direct classes and related here. So the conditions of these portions where we can consider that feelings, depravity, stare, spite, self-love, moral, story, obliged, feelings, swiftly, sarcasm, course, reform, all these things are coming almost together, which means the total collective cognitive structure of human mind. When the cuteness of concept construction was happening from the ancient time to the current time, we can easily see that the concept construction order, the way the mankind is getting the concept, is not constructed in a haphazard way. Every time the concepts are constructed in a sequential way, and the sequences are examined in the phenomenology reasoning system. Here, whenness is not discussed. To analyze the whenness, we have to go to the engram like things, or culturonomics like of things. And here in the other database, we can see the total frequency, the unique crisp frequency of every of these concept as a classes present in the combined dictionary. And here also you can see that the comes at the top with the highest frequency. That means more number of words and concepts are directly dependent on the word the. The second rank is for a, the third rank is for of. And in this way we will show you the to, and, in, or also in ngram. Before that, we want to show you the concept of moral here in this database, such that we can discuss about the conditions of our features. Here we don't have space like this. Moral is coming at the point of 1221 line number, and directly related in the queuedness are the evidences, the temple, the frequency distributions of these objects like lives, moral. These kind of talks are coming here. Gives, elements, alone, talk, separate. So we can see that moral is, with the frequency of its dependency, it is related to certain other concepts like broken, like talk, like separate. These are the kind of fears, and these fears actually develops the concept of the moral. And in the other database we can see the moral and the story are coming almost together. And here also we can see that some other things like wise, like beer, like distinct, like sheep, like letter, like alone, like authority, and thousands, supposed, and these kind of concepts are coming near around the moral. And the concept of feeling, the concept of fail, the concept of stele, the concept of private, the concept of Christian, the concept of male, the concept of blonde, concept of occur, concept of easily. These are directly related to the dependency chains of the moral. Now, this is a frequency distribution report, and we have to generate the combined report such that we can understand more detailed number like behaviors of our concepts construction orders. Now we will compare other three things like to, and, in, or, is, with in our Google Ngram. To, and, in, or, is, with. So here we will compare with to, and, is, or, with. When we examine these together, then we see that to, and, is, or, with are very less than these top three things. So if we compare to, and, is, or, with only together, then we can see that out of these, or, is, and are the most sensitive. And if we talk with or and only, or and only, then we can get understanding that and is more discussed, more written, more talked than the or. From the previous things that we found that the is the word of definiteness, a is the word of indefiniteness, and of is the word of connectivity, connecting. And here also we can see that and is concept of a definiteness, or is a concept of diciness, and when we consider it with the with, then we will see another interesting feature that with and or are almost at the same position, and is very high regard in the cultural cognition systems. And here we can see that or and with are moving almost with the same conditions. That is, or is the concept of the indefiniteness, and with is a concept of the uh, togetherness with the part and whole relationships, but of is having the more part and of relationship, but of is getting much more discussed conditions of the part to whole relationship. We can talk about the a here, and then the indefiniteness condition is still there, but a is more discussed, more written, more talked than the concept of the with or. So in this lecture, we have given you a fundamental and more basic understanding of how we are approaching towards the constructing of a reasoning structure with the phenomenology reasoning system and phenomenology reasoning system. In the phenomenology reasoning system, we discuss about the total humankind's concept construction ordering, the concept construction cuteness, the number like behaviors, that one concept come first, then another concept come later. Depending on that concept, some other concepts come up. In this way, the concepts are constructed. And phenomenology reasoning system discusses about the whenness of the concepts get popularized, or when a concept is getting consumed in the society. In this lecture, we will start with another kind of talks here, that is the economic growth related with the concept constructions order and concepts consumption orders. Suppose a country is exporting steel, then that country will have the discussions about the steel and the raw materials about the steel. The discussions about the coal will happen there. If a country is not electrically matured, if the country is not having the electricity everywhere, then people will not talk about electricity everywhere. So for per square feet of area of every country and per regions of the country, will have the different demographies of our word usages, the concept usages. And more we will see that natural language processing systems will work, and more we will see that people will use the social media, the written documents and the verbal documents will get recorded, and more we will get the statistics from the Twitter data and from the online contents. We will get more understanding about the which region of which country is going to discuss about more about what kind of economic terms or non-economic terms, and from those our next level of our economy will predict the world's economic growths from the demography of the nature of the concepts people are discussing in which kind of regions, and from that it will become very easy to understand what kind of investments will do the better performance in which region of our world. These kind of reasoning systems like the phenomenology reasoning systems, the phenomenology reasoning systems will become much more important in the current time, because people are putting their more effort on the record collections and the accounting on the concept constructions, the accounting on the concept consumptions. All these things are going to give us a bigger impacts on the economic predictions and economic forecasting. So it is a very serious and very important issue here. Suppose if we compare the two words, the do, think and know. If we compare these along the line of the history, then we can see that when after industrial revolution, we can see the word like the do is moving very high, and before 1550 the word do was getting more importance, because people had to do a lot of things and people had to discuss about doing more than knowing. And thinking was not that much importantly discussed word in the whole world. Now if we talk about only the word think, the concept as a mankind, the think, we can see that after the mathematics and calculus was getting more matured, the concept think was getting bigger importances, and as the search engines are coming, then we are getting another interesting demography in the whole world, in the cultural as a mankind demography, where we can see that more and more books are getting published, more and more people are using calculus, more kind of new kind of understandings are coming, like after French Revolution, just after 1750 to 1760, the concept of knowing increased, and after uh, say Marx 1850, we can see that the concept know got the more importance, and the social prides and social discussion about the knowing than thinking emerged. And if we compare just with the know and do, then we can see do is still very high than know. And if we compare this know and work, then we can see the nature of our social discussions, social talks are ultimately moving up. From the time of the industrial revolutions in the 1800, the work was getting more and more important, and then after search engine came, the know and the think, the two concepts, overtaken the concept of work. So more and more artificial intelligence will come. We will see that the know and think will overtake the mankind, and people will not discuss about the work too much. People will discuss about the knowing and thinking. That means in the new era, the knowing and thinking are going to rule the economy, and the whole performance will work on the knowing and thinking, and work is not going to do the big economic impact in next 25 to 30 years. That is the point where Sanjoy Nath'S Qhenomenology reasoning system and Sanjoy Nath'S Phenomenology reasoning system is trying to put a alternative way to do economic forecasting through the QRS, WRS, and culturomics and econophysics kind of things, which were not actually more important before the large language models were available to the world. And since people have understood that language is a resource, and with that resource we can develop many things sustainably and we can improve our performances, and when human being is now understanding that language itself is like a machine and which is not going to add much on the carbon footprint, but still we can do sustainable developments. Thank you.